So we'll go in accordance with the people who have raised their hands first. Byleen, are you here?
So am I audible, sir?
Yes, you're audible.
So
Share your
shall
sc-
I?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah.
So host has disabled the participant screen sharing. It's
Just a
counting, sir.
second. Just a
Yes, sir.
second. You can share your screen now.
Yes, sir.
And turn on your video first.
Yes, sir. 1 second, sir. So it seems that you have to give the permission for that. So
Yeah, do check now.
yes, sir. Is my screen? Can you see me, sir?
Yeah, I can see you.
Yes, sir.
You can share your screen.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Shall I start with my presentation now, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Very good evening to everyone present here. Myself, Byleen Janet Roy, and I'm doing my Hackveda intern for cybersecurity related. And let me explain you all about the task which I done previously and give the gist of what I did. Basically, they gave me a resource named Overview of Microsoft 98.367 Security Fundamentals, in which they gave the brief everything of what is really cybersecurity and what can be done by using the cybersecurity. And what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is a critical field in today's digital world where threats to information and systems are ever wandering, right? That is what is known as cybersecurity. Okay. Before entering to the presentation, let me just give you a gist of why cybersecurity and what is cybersecurity. As I said earlier, it is like a police patrol for the cyber world. That's it. And why should we have a police patrol? We know that we are in the era of technology now, and the technologies are growing at a rate very faster. As the rate of technology grows, you can also see the hackers and the people who wants to steal grows at the same rate. At this point, we need a cyber defenders, that is, cyber security specialists, who can take over these kind of view and can give the protection to the people who are using the internet in a proper manner. And yes, this is the agenda for the presentation. First, we will be giving the introduction and understanding the security layers, understanding the authentication, authorization, and accounting. And we will be seeing about the security policies and the network security. And we will be seeing a little about the server and the client, and we will be concluding. And yes, this is how, as I said earlier, the cybersecurity is what we need it now for defending ourselves from many malicious threats and from hackers. And I'll be covering about what I read through the material given to me, that mastering cybersecurity fundamentals. And yes, why should we have security layers? First, we have to understand what is security layers. Only then we can give the approach for defending it from many different hackers from outside. We need security layers so that security layers at a powerful level so that it can't be breached, and it is for protecting that systems or data. Of course, that is what we will be doing by having the security layers. Why should we have a password for computer? Of course, it is for protecting our data from third person or maybe from people who wants to hack our computer and so on and so on. And these are the 7 layers of cybersecurity: the human layer, which is the topmost layer, the perimeter security, the network security, endpoint security, application security, and data security. Of course, the human layer is what we ourselves will be acting as the layer, and the perimeter layer, network security, is what given through the network providers, and the endpoint security is given in the application and application security, and data security. These all will be embedded for giving the perfect security system and so on. And this is the core security principle. If you are giving a chance for the cybersecurity domain, Of course, we should know what is CIA. CIA is nothing but confidentiality, integrity, and availability. We should focus on these three things if you want to become a person of cybersecurity. Confidentiality is nothing but you should maintain things confidential if it is given to you. And integrity and availability, you should make available to everyone. That's it. And integrity stands for the whole literal meaning of itself. That's it. And the least privilege, the principle of least privilege and separation of duties. The principle of least privilege explaining the practice of granting users the minimum level access required to perform tasks. Like if you're having a cloud for yourself, if you are having one cloud and you want people to access it, you will be giving the credentials. That is, you will be giving the people the necessary credentials so that they can log in and they can use it. Unnecessary people won't be having the credentials, so they can't log in and they can't enter to the data which you have in the cloud. That is the simple example which I can give for this one. And the attack surface. Attack surface is nothing but it is the testing the vulnerability. That is what is vulnerability in the sense we will be seeing how application can be hacked, and we will be doing the necessities of how it can be prevented. That is how the vulnerability tests are happening today, and that should be tested so that the application can be built in a perfect way. And this is the attack surface. How an attack surface can be implemented. It can be by employee portal, or maybe through VPN, or the website which we use, or it can be also breached by the stolen employee's password and out of security certificate and so on. And this is very important about the social engineering. That is, it can't be happened by the hardware, by interfering with the hardware, but it is a psychological manipulation. That is, if a person just approaches another one and he starts to talk about something, and he will be manipulating the person who he talks to, and he will be getting the data what he needs, and he will be penetrating to the system, and he will be hacking the and he'll be performing some harmful actions. That is how the social engineering technique works. We all know the social engineering technique is used to breach a big company, and it is just performed by a teenage kid, it seems. And that is how powerful social engineering is. That is why we should be aware about how the cybersecurity stuff works. And these are some types of attacks which can be worked by the principle of social engineering. That is phishing, pretexting, baiting, quid pro quo, and tailgating, water hauling. These are nothing but we'll be convincing someone through the text by, to be honest, the magic of text. That is, we'll be convincing the people by giving some random text, and he'll be falling for that, and I'll be hacking into his system. That's it. And yes, linking cost with security for effective decision making. For giving the definite and the strong security layer, of course, we have to spend money. But if we just see, oh my God, this is too much for me to spend, of course, we can't give the perfect security. For example, we can take an antivirus. If we buy a very good antivirus and it gives a perfect security for the data, which is too much confidential for us, of course, that buying the antivirus is worth for us, right? That is how the linking cost with the security in an effective decision making works. And the physical security. Physical security is nothing but you have to use the hardware to monitor or to protect your data from external people. That's it. And yes, it is for safeguarding the assets, facilities, and sensitive information. That is how the physical securities work. Imagine if you are in a home, how will you protect your home from other people? Of course, you'll be using one lock, a physical lock. That is how the physical security works. And these are some of the examples for physical security. Like it may be a CCTV camera, or it may be a fixed camera, or maybe a fingerprint sensor, or a key for a car, and so on and so on. And we have to understand about the authentication, authorization, and accounting. That is, authentication is nothing but we have to let me tell you, as I'm being the admin for the company, and I'll be providing certain necessary details for the users there for them to access something. That is how I'll be giving the authentication for the users to access the data which I'll be giving. That is how the authentication and authorization works. Accounting is we have to get into account of every data that is being used for getting noticed that if unnecessary people gets into our data. And web server authentication security. Of course, if I'm being the server, I'll be looking at the people who are using my server, and accordingly, I can monitor whether they do any DOS attack and so on and so on. And understanding the security policies. Before doing something, will be having some policies which must be followed for us to ensure the things to happen in the correct manner, right? That is how the security policies also work in here. Work here. Into it. The word brute force is nothing but a trial and error method. People will be trying again and again so that it will be broken at some point. That is how the brute forcing attack works. And importance of strong password. Of course, if you have the strong passwords, you can protect your data in a very good manner. That's it. And you all know how a password should be. It should have every sign up page will let you know. Like you should have a very strong password by having lowercase, uppercase, special symbols, and numbers, and so on. Yes, this is what is known as the brute force attack. That is, we'll be having one trial and error method to break into something. That's it. Like if my password is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, I'll be brute forcing it by using different combination of password, and the combination when it arrives 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, my system will break into the another system. That's it. That's how the brute force attack works. And these are some of the common attacks. That is, it is used like how I explained before. The phishing, maybe it might be social engineering or brute force attack. These are some of the common attacks that were used in the cybersecurity field by hackers. And before getting into it, if the password, why should we have a stronger password? The reason is, if you have a stronger password, it is very difficult for the hacker to brute force into it. Like if I have my name, special character, and some symbols and so on, how can I get that particular combination to take millions of try for the hacker so that it won't be easy for him to brute force in an easy way? That's why we need a very strong password. And understanding about the network security and protecting the client and server. I have included both these into a single slide because they both are interrelated. Why should we have a network security? Of course, we are in the era of technology. Everything now are communicated through wire or wireless. Everything is connected toward the network, and we are connected toward the network. What if the network is penetrated or maybe interfered through a man known as hacker? All the data, what we share and what we share with others, will be transferring to the medium known as hacker, and he'll be hacking every resources what we have. So network is an important medium which we use today, and it must be secured. That is how we can ensure the security of the machines today. And what is client and what is server? Imagine if you are using one website now. We using the website by using the browser, so we are known as the client. And the one who handles the website is known as the server. We should have a perfect connection between the client and the server, which must be maintained by using the network and many protocols. And it should be maintained. That's it. And we'll see about what is a firewall and OSI model, which is very much important, and DOS. And this is the OSI layer. I'll just tell about the OSI layer, and I'll let you know about another thing. We will be having the layers of OSI, which from bottom to top as physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application. Why should we know about the OSI layer? Why should we know about the layers, first of all? What is the necessity of the layer? Because if you want to penetrate into something, of course, you can't get into it directly. You should penetrate into it through the layers. Why through the layers? Because every layer has its individual responsible to do. Like the application layer involves the application, and the physical layer involves the physical medium of your device. And OSI layers are not currently in use today. We use TCP IP layers, which doesn't involve the session and presentation layer. Why not? It is because the session and presentation layer are involved in the application layer, so that the TCP layer has only physical, data link, network, transport, and application layer. Only 5 layers in TCP. And the protection. We have to protect the client and server, right? For the server side, me being at the server side, how can I protect my computer? The very best way is by having a perfect firewall. we have the Windows Bitdefender in our systems, which is a perfect firewall for Windows systems, and it just scans your computer. If you're getting into a malicious website, it just warns you that it is a website you should not enter. And if you download any malware into it, your system will block that application from getting downloaded, and you will escape from a malware eventually. So it is very much important for you have to have your systems updated with the regular firewall as well as an antivirus to keep your system safe. And let us recall of what you have seen in this presentation. First, we saw about the security layers. Then we saw what is authentication, authorization, and accounting. And we saw about the security policies. That is what policies should be maintained for a perfect security, and about the network security, and about the client and the server controls. And that's it. This is what I have referred, the book which they gave me, the Microsoft official academic course of security fundamentals. And I have referred many other websites through Greek, Flare, and so on. For any details, you can contact through my Gmail ID. And this is a question session. Thank you, sir.
You can stop sharing your screen.
Yes, sir.
The presentation was delivered well. What I would say is that I think there was this one slide where you just mentioned some of the attacks that
Yes,
are
sir.
there. But the thing is, whenever you're trying to dive into a topic like cybersecurity, and if there are like a vast majority of concepts and other related things that cannot be, simply understood by other people, what you
Yes,
should
sir.
do is that just give a surface level knowledge of these things.
Sure, sir.
Okay. Another thing is that uh, can you go to the brute force slide,
Yes, sir. One second.
lesson 3?
Uh, one sec, sir. Once I go to it, I'll share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
Shall I scan my screen, sir?
Yeah, you can.
Yes, sir.
I felt like you did mention the basic attacks like phishing, brute force, but it felt like you were overusing it a lot of times because
Yes, sir. It is.
yeah,
Yes, sir. You continue.
yeah. I did notice that you were overusing these stuff. So instead of overusing certain, the main aspects of your presentation, you could have gone with other attacks as well to,
Yes, sir.
give a broader understanding of things.
Yes,
And
sir. Yes, sir.
other than that, it was all fine. Another thing that you have to do is, can you go to the references slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Uh, Typically, whenever you should actually mention your mail ID in the Q&A slide and not over here. It is
Okay, sir.
recommended that you do that all the time. Other than that, it was all fine. Uh, yeah, that is pretty much it. You will
Yes,
get
sir.
your review on the mail.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
you can
Sir,
stop
the
sharing your screen.
reason why
Yeah,
I use the brute force again and again is
yeah.
people often fell for brute force attack, and I want this presentation to be little uh, awareness giving thing so that I wanted to deliver about brute force. And why I
Hmm,
didn't go to many other attacks is
hmm.
if I start to explain about DOS attack, people will get confused. It would take me to different perspective of explaining things so that it would be little longer too, so that I have to make the
No,
presentation simple as well as easy to understand.
it's all right if the presentation extends for a longer period of time. Your
Yes, sir.
objective should always be to, give a broader perspective on your topic.
Yes, sir.
It should be
Okay, sir.
related, but at the same time, it should have variety, and you
Okay,
should
sir.
be able to explain things in layman terms. That
Yes,
is
sir.
that should be your objective. most of the times. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And another
Okay.
thing that I did notice was that the presentation to me, there were a lot of animations, but I would suggest a linear transition through things. It would
Okay,
make
sir.
it would make things easier for all
Mm,
the
yes, sir.
people that will view it later, for all of the interns that will view, as a reference. Okay.
Okay,
That is
sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
You can stop sharing.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Then I think we have Chaitanya.
So I'm right now logged in laptop. I will also log in with phone because I don't have a webcam.
Okay, then join the meeting tomorrow. I'll just note down your name. You'll be available tomorrow to give the presentation.
Yeah, I will be available, but tomorrow also I don't. I mean, there is no webcam in laptop actually.
Then you'll have to arrange for one. Or what you can do is that you can join from your
I'll,
mobile and turn on your webcam.
yes, sir. That's what I'm.
You can do that right now.
Yes, sir. I can do.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
One second.
Recording in progress.
Sir, am I visible?
Yeah, you're visible.
Sir, is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Sir, is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible. You can start.
Okay, sir. Okay. Good evening, sir, and good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chaitanya, and my project is future location prediction using data IQ. Going on to the next slide, contents are, and I'm going to explain everything: introduction, literature review, flow of the project, final result and output, demo, and finally conclusion. Moving on to the next slide, introduction. Future location prediction is a technology that uses data analysis and machine learning algorithms to predict where individuals or objects will be at a given time in the future. This technology has numerous applications from prediction, traffic patterns to improve emergency response times. To understand how future location prediction works, it is important to first understand data sources used. These can include GPS data, social media check-ins, and even credit card purchases. Sorry. By analyzing this data, algorithms can identify patterns and make predictions about where individuals or objects are likely to be in the future. For example, imagine a world where your phone could predict your headed next, or emergency services could anticipate like accident might occur, etc., etc. This is the world future location prediction. This is the game changer for across the world. It is used for remote patient monitoring, like if you have an elder person in your family, like we have old person, right? It is used for remote patient monitoring, ensuring the patient timely assistance they deviate from their expected locations. Move on to the next slide. What is data IQ? Data IQ is an advanced end-to-end platform for data science and machine learning operations. It provides a collaborative and integrated environment that enables data teams, including data scientists, data analysis, and engineers to work together efficiently in the entire data lifecycle from data preparation and exploration to model building and deployment. What is data IQ? Imagine if you are a student. Uh, to know the to know the to know the student performance, we need to test the student, right? By testing the student only, we can know that he can communicate or he can perform well in exams, right? Exactly, the data echo will used in to know the perfect algorithms and accurate values. Moving on to the next slide. And this is the data set overview that Hackweather has given me. And these are the attributes, and attributes are nothing but columns. ID, event time starts, event time ends, latitude start, longitude start, latitude end, and longitude end. ID is nothing but unique point of represent in the gross, and event time start is location time start, and event time is a destination end, and latitude, and it is a latitude start, and it is a longitude start, and latitude end, and it is a destination end. Ensemble boosting technique. I used ensemble boosting technique because it is easier to understand. I will explain it. Imagine these. My example is lame, but it is useful. Imagine model A, model B, and model C are three friends. Friend A, friend B, friend C. And imagine these three friends are going to a trip, and for going trip, friend A will search the hotel, and friend B will search the restaurant, and friend C will search the location. By three happening, by yeah, working by three friends, they can ensemble the perfect model, right? I'm sorry. And in this boosting technique, this will first take data set, and it will bootstrap the data and data into the three datas, and it transfers into three datas, and it will ensemble it, and it will give us final prediction. Moving on to the next slide. So I've used two algorithms. They are lasso regression and XGBoost. Firstly, lasso regression. Lasso regression stands for least absolute shrinkage and selection operator. Lasso regression is a regularization technique. It is used over regression methods for a more accurate prediction. This model uses shrinkage. Shrinkage is where data values are shrunk towards the center point as a mean. The lasso procedure encourages simple sparse models. The reason why I choose lasso regression is let's take a data set. Imagine it doesn't have a perfect accuracy, and it has some misclassification or something. By using lasso regression, it will shrink the data. It will shrink the data and make it shorter. As you can see that shrinkage is where the data values are shrunk towards the center point as the mean. And examples are years of experience, the number of years of an employee has worked, education level, a categorical variable indicating the highest level of education, job position, the job title or position of the employee, and technical skills, communication skills, leader skills, performance score, etc. Next slide. And this is my model representation, my data flow, and I'll explain it afterwards. Now applying the lasso regression on latitudes. This is our data set as per the hack with the given name. This is the data set, and I will train the data set. As you can see, that training ratio 80% is the training ratio and 20% is the testing ratio. And after applying the lasso regression algorithm, we get the accuracy given by the lasso regression algorithm of the latitude. For this, we have to select the latent because it is our target to predict the latitude. I will explain it in the row, guys. And now applying XGBoost on longitudes. And same goes with this. This is predicted latitude data set, and we have to train the predicted latitude data set where is our 80% training ratio and 20% testing ratio. Applying the XGBoost algorithm, and we get the accuracy given by the XGBoost algorithm of the longitudes. And after applying the XGBoost, what might be the results? As you can see that I got 1.000. That means 100% accurate. That means it is the perfect location. That means it is the perfect algorithm to use. As you can see, the training set has 1241 rows, test set has 296 rows, train time has about 2 seconds. But it has got 100% accurate. Demo. This is my data flow, and this is the data set that Hackweather has given to me. Yeah, and these are the attributes, ID, event time starts.
Excuse me, Chaitanya. I cannot see the demonstration. I can just see your presentation right now.
So 1 second. So can you see now?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. This is the location data set Hackweather has given to me. And these are the attributes as I mentioned earlier. And what I did here was I've trained the data, and I've trained the data with the lasso regression. And as you can see that. By testing the data with lasso regression, we got 100% accurate, as you can see there. And again, I predicted the latitude, and we got another five extra attributes. And I've again trained with the XGBoost algorithm. And as you can see that XGBoost has 100% accuracy. As you can see that this is my final output. And this is nothing but the parent recipe I created. This is the recipe I created. I used decision tree to get, and it has also got 98% accurate. And as you can see, precision has 14%, and recall has this has low. And this is, I've applied all algorithms and I've got only 0.66, 66% only. And it is very low as compared to lasso regression and XGBoost. Yeah. Why should we? I'm sorry. So is the screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Why should we use XGBoost and lasso? Why not other algorithms? As you can see that other algorithms has random forest, gradient boost. These all has very low as compared to XGBoost and lasso regression. See, 0.58, 58% only. Lasso and XGBoost has a high, it has perfect accuracy. So it can show us perfect location. And going on to the final results and outputs. As I said earlier, we got 5 attributes, right? Five columns. And this is not R2, this is R square. It will take as 0 and 1. And you can see that it is 0.99. If it is lesser than 5%, it is called low. And it is greater than 5, it is high accurate. And going on to the conclusion. We aim to predict the future location based on given data. We used ensemble method to get best accuracy for given task. First, we perform lasso regression to get latitude and XGBoost to leg on longitude, and also experimented with other algorithms but failed to get desired accuracy. Hence, concluded that combination of lasso regression and XGBoost gives us the best accuracy. That's it.
Are you done with the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go to the first slide, please.
Okay, sir.
Keep your camera turned
Yeah,
on.
yes, sir, sure.
Okay, so we'll just go through the presentation that you have made slide by slide, okay? Whenever you are starting with the presentation, you need to introduce yourself well. You need to mention the domain group,
Yes,
okay?
sir. Yes.
Okay, your domain group, which college are you from? All the basic details.
Yes, sir, sure.
Do that. Go to the contents, introduction. Over here, and pretty much in all the slides, what you have done is that you have mentioned huge paragraphs. You haven't mentioned any bullet points, and you have been reading all of these points that you have mentioned.
Yes, sir.
You do not have to do that. You
Yes, sir.
need
Yes.
to mention bullet points, and you have to keep a separate script aside. And
Yes.
then what you can do is that you can read from that and then explain.
Yes, sir, sure.
Okay. Go to data IQ slide. Over here, what I did notice was that you again read the entire paragraph, but you did not really, give an actual, self explanation as to what it will really do when it comes to
Yes,
your
sir.
project. Whenever you are starting off with anything, you need to give a correlation right from the start with everything
sir.
that you mention.
Yes.
Go to the next slide. Dataset overview. Over here as well, you have mentioned the data, but you did not give any sort of explanation as to why we're using each of the columns and how they're related to each other. You have to do that as well. To
Yes,
me,
sir.
the presentation felt very incomplete and rushed. You could have done better if you had
Yes, sir.
researched more, which
Yes,
I
sir.
don't think you have. Uh, ensemble boosting technique on that slide. Can you go over there?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what exactly bootstrap is? Bootstrapping the data.
I don't know, sir.
So you just can't
Bootstrap.
show up and just, put up pictures and tell that you have
Yes,
done
sir.
this and you
Yes.
have done that.
Yes.
This is not how this works. You will have to
Yes,
show
sir.
your sincerity towards research and what you're demonstrating.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Next slide. Algorithms used. Okay. Can you go to the model representation? Can you explain the second flow, the upper flow that you have created?
Upper flow.
This one, the location data set prepared, predict end destination multiclass, that flow. Can you
Yes, sir.
explain that? Why have you done that?
And this is just a recipe I've just created, sir.
But what for?
To know the end destination.
I don't think it's for that. The upper flow is to compare the algorithms with the one that you will be actually using. You
So
mentioned
comparing latitude and longitude.
no, comparing the algorithms. Go
Yeah,
back to your
yes, sir.
presentation.
So
Keep scrolling down. Click on the 13th slide. The 11th one. Okay. Keep scrolling down again. 15th. Do you know about any of the algorithms mentioned here?
yes, sir.
Can you like explain? You used XGBoost, right? XGBoost, lasso
Yes, sir. I
regression.
used XGBoost and lasso regression.
What for?
It is the, I mean, it is perfect for this, sir. That's why I used it.
Okay, but
And
do
as you
do
can see
you
that other algorithms has low accuracy, 0.58. That means 58% only.
okay, okay, fair enough. And do you know about the other algorithms as well, at least to some extent?
No, sir.
Okay. Uh, okay, so you need to work on your introduction. You need to
Yes,
work
sir.
on your research. You need
Yes,
to
sir.
work on your demonstration as well,
Yes, sir. I will do it.
because this was incomplete. I don't think you yourself know what concepts have been used properly. And another thing is that you have to mention a reference slide, a
Yes, sir.
Q&A slide, a conclusion slide, and a thank you slide as well.
Okay, sir.
All of those are missing as well. And
Okay, sir.
for now, what we have done is that you have arranged your phone to be used as a camera, right? In
Yes,
the
sir.
next presentation that you give, try to arrange a webcam for
Yes, sir.
yourself
I will.
and for your
I will.
laptop. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will.
Other than that, you will have to work hard.
Yes, sir. I will. I will
Okay.
learn my mistakes and I will do a perfect presentation.
Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah, I
hope
will
you do.
reach it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You can stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I think then we have Pratyush.
Sir, is my voice audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, sir. So I am sharing my
Sir,
screen
can
now.
I leave?
Yeah, you can leave, Chaitanya.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Pratyush, you can share your screen.
Sir, if the review will be coming to my
It will
mail,
be
right?
mailed. It will be mailed to you.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
You can start.
So my slides are visible now.
Yes, they are.
Okay. So good evening, everyone present here. I am Pratyush Kumar, a BTech graduate from Rajasthan Technical University, and currently I am an intern at the Hackveda from the Web Developers Group. So this is my third presentation overall. In this task, I was assigned to provide and present the project timeline, which is required to build a real-time stock market data web application. So this application is basically a mobile app or a web application which provides you the data for different kinds of stocks so that you can trade in them risk free. So moving on today's agenda. So first we will start with an introduction to the project, followed by an overview of the project scope, and then we will dive into the concept of the project and why timelines are required and why should we make a project timeline to complete the project on time. And then we will discuss the importance of data visualization, for example, why we need to visualize the data. Then I will tell you the different technologies used in the project. Then I will show you the documentation and the Gantt charts which I have created using the structure of the timeline. And lastly, we will arrive at the conclusion. So, so let's start with the introduction part. So my goal was to create a real-time stock market data web application, which would provide users with up-to-date and accurate information to make good investment decisions, make better investment decisions. So this project has presented me with various challenges and opportunities, and I am excited to share my journey with you. So, so let's talk about the project scope. Why we need a real-time data application? Why we need this? So, to ensure a focused approach, to ensure a focused approach, I defined the scope of the project. I have aimed to build a user-friendly platform that offers stock market data real time with proper updates. And apart from this, I wanted to make data more readable and presentable with different aspects of data visualization. Apart from this, I wanted to empower investors with the tools that they need to analyze trends, make strategic decisions, and analyze their overall trading experience. So these are the basic scope of my project. So moving on, the need of a project timeline. Why do we need it basically? Let's imagine a situation where you are working on a project with five other members. The members are your teammates. So the project is large. I think it might take you 2 or 3 months to complete that. So how you are going to perform that the operations needed in the project. For example, if you want to build a web applications, you would need to first design the front end part. You will need to design the user interface. Then you will have to create the backend. You have to create the servers, and then you have to integrate them. Apart from this, you will have to deploy them. So in how you will perform these activities sequentially, to ensure that we need a timeline. So timeline is just like a roadmap which shows the different activities which are being undertaken in the project from its start to the finish. It is required only to maintain a smooth development process. So now I will tell you about the importance of data visualization, why we need to visualize the data. For example, let's take the example of an Excel spreadsheet, a normal Excel spreadsheet. It contains a lot of data, but if you try to read that data, it might become a bit of complicated to you, because Excel sheets are very straightforward. And but if I try to represent that data in a visual form, like using the pie chart, using graphs, using bars, etc., then the data will become more understandable. So in today's world, the data visualization plays a crucial role in the presenting complex information in a user-friendly manner. So our application has used some JavaScript libraries like Chart.js for implementing the data visualization, which I will discuss in the next slide. So these are the technologies used throughout the development process. I have utilized all these technologies. So basically, I have used HTML for designing the structure, and CSS for styling it, and JavaScript is used to make the web page more responsive, and React.js is used to make the user interface. This is all used to make the front end part, because user interface is necessary to mm, make the application more user friendly. So the backend, I have used Node.js and Express.js. So what is Node.js? It is basically a JavaScript runtime environment, and it enables us to run JavaScript inside the code editor itself and not using the browser. And data visualization, I use D3.js and Chart.js. These both are JavaScript frameworks for visualization part. And I have used the APIs like News API and Alpha Vantage API. The News API is used to get the latest news articles, and the Alpha Vantage API is an API used to get the real-time data going on in the stock market. So main challenge is that when you have created the front end and the back end, the main challenge comes when you integrate both of them, because both these things are independent. You have to integrate them. Apart from this, another challenge is handling the API. Many times the API do not provide the real-time data, so it is very important to use an up-to-date API show the to make the application work perfectly. And the other two parts are like security and deployment. So for security, I use JSON Web Tokens, and security part is very essential because a lot of users will be using your platform, and they will all want that their data remains secure. And the last part is the deployment. You are free to use any server, but I personally use the Amazon Web Services because it is user friendly and very easy to use. So deployment is necessary when you want to make your application go online. Okay, before I move forward, I want you to see the conclusion. Sorry, I want you to see the documentation part. So let's see the documentation. So this was the documentation that I created for the timeline. So the project is spread over 2 months, spread in 8 weeks. So starting in the starting part, I have worked with the front end, which is the React, CSS, and HTML things. Apart from this, in the third week, I tried working with the APIs and connecting them with the front end because APIs are used to this API make your application workable, basically application programming interfaces. And then I implemented the data visualization to visualize the data in the form of pie charts and graphs. The complete application is not completely ready yet. It will be ready by some time later. So currently the work is going on building the backend. So the backend of the application will be built using Node.js, which I have explained earlier that it is the basic runtime of JavaScript. And the last two things are that we have to integrate the API and we have to use WebSockets to enable communication between two entities. And the last thing is that we have to deploy the application on any web server we need. Okay, so now let's see the documentation of the entire application. So this is the entire documentation which I have created for the application. These are the basic steps which we will need throughout we will work throughout the application. So first is you have to decide about the audience, who are the audience. So this application will basically target investors, trader, and economists and financial enthusiasts which want to seek insights into stock market data. And so the next thing is that first we need to set up the development environment for any application. We need to set it up. So as I have mentioned that I will be using Node.js. So I have explained how to install Node.js. You can install Node.js on your operating system as per your requirements. After installing Node.js, you have to create a React application. So React application is created by using this command, which is npx, and create React app. This is the basically the create command. This is the name of the application which you are going to create. Apart from this, I have explained in the documentation about the JSX syntax. JSX is the JavaScript extension. So by using JSX, you can write all the HTML code inside the React file itself. And apart from this, I have explained all these things using to create the backend and the front end. So these are the basic syntax which you will need to create the user interface. Yeah. And styling will be done using CSS. CSS is used to style the web page. And apart from this, I have also mentioned about how I am going to implement the security procedures like the authentication process and the validation process. So JSON web tokens are used as our authentication mechanism because they are very secure. Apart from this, the main challenge is about how we are going to integrate the APIs and how the application will show the data using the APIs. So these are the steps which I have mentioned. All the things I have mentioned are in great detail. So it will be very easy for any developer who is working on the project. He can go by the documentation and he can create that project by himself only. So the last section is that how I will be deploying that. So I have explained that I will be deploying the application on AWS. Anyone is free to deploy it anywhere, but AWS is user friendly. So we will use that only. So these are the basic steps on how you are going to deploy the application. So first we have to set up a web server, then we have to set up the database. For database, I forgot to mention I'm using MongoDB database. It is a NoSQL type database. So I'm using that. So now back to the presentation. I want you to see the conclusion. So now 1 second. Okay. So in the conclusion, our project has been an exciting and challenging experience for me. And building a real-time stock market data application requires a well-planned project timeline, which I have created. And lastly, these are the references which I have used. These 3 YouTube channels: Free Code Camp, Traversy Media, and JavaScript Mastery. I'm also recommending anyone else to use this because these guys are very, very knowledgeable. You can get much help. Apart from this, I have used W3 Schools tutorials and use also GitHub for some code snippets. And thank you for all your attention. So now if you have any queries for me, you are free to ask. Thank you, sir.
You can stop sharing your screen.
Yes, sir.
The presentation was okay. What I would suggest you to do is that every single time, whenever you start off with the presentation,
Yes, sir.
try not to give an introduction right on the title page.
Okay, sir.
Just talk about yourself, introduce yourself first, then
Yes,
you
sir.
can go get into the presentation. Okay.
Yes, sir.
In the introductions part, there are no bullet points. Again, it's like an entire paragraph. You have to shorten the paragraph into bullet points,
Yes,
and
sir.
you have to elaborate on that bullet points. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think it was the same with the project timeline as well. And I also think that you mixed up both the project timeline content and the need. I think there's this another slide. Can you go over there?
For need, yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. You mentioned the need and the, what do you say? The previous slides content together. Make sure that does not really happen.
Yes,
Split
sir.
things up. Stick to one slide at a time.
Yes,
Once
sir.
you're done with a single slide, then go to the next slide.
Okay, sir.
Other than that, the content was fine. No problems
Yes.
over there.
Yes, sir.
But one thing that I would like you to know is that whenever you're presenting yourself in a professional environment,
Yes, sir.
try not to say that I want you to come to the conclusion now. Don't say that.
Okay, okay, sir.
Instead, what you can do is you can just go to the conclusion slide and you can just start off with to conclude and
Yes.
then say everything that you have to.
Okay, sir.
And yeah, again, the conclusion, it was a paragraph. Make sure every single content on your slide, on each slide, is in
Yes,
bullet
sir.
points. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
I think you merged the thank you and the Q&A slide together.
No, sir,
Is that
these were different.
okay? What you need to do is that you need to keep the thank you slide separately. The thank you slide will come after the question and answer slide.
Okay,
And the
sir.
question and answer slide, you're going to mention this. I welcome any questions and feedback from the audience. And over
Yes, sir.
there, you're going to mention your email ID as well.
Okay,
And
sir.
then you're going to wait for, let's say, around 7-8 seconds. If you do not receive any sort of questions, then you're going to go to the thank you slide.
Okay, sir.
And whenever you're explaining each slide, whenever you're delivering your content, try not to be monotonous. You need to bring in expressions in your communication. You need to bring in expressions on your face.
Yes.
You do not have to, show yourself as if you're reading from the script. You have to
Yes, sir.
present yourself properly as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I hope you
Yes,
do
sir.
keep all of these points in mind and do better next time.
Yes, sir. I will do
Yeah.
better.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Then we have Suhaib. You can unmute yourself.
Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Turn your camera on. Yeah.
Am I visible?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
visible.
Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes, it is.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mohammed Suhaib. I'm currently studying my bachelor's in information technology from Royal ICAM College of Engineering and Technology in Chennai. Uh, this is currently my third presentation here at HackVeda. I'm from the web developer group. In my previous presentation was about the overview of the project synopsis, in which I talked in depth about all the process of creation and the working of the website and everything. This presentation is meant only for the project timeline. My task was to create a project timeline and a Gantt chart to describe the overall timeline and the flow of the project. First, we'll see the agenda. I'll begin with the introduction. Then I'll mention the objectives and importance of creating a project timeline. Then I'll show the project timeline itself. Then I'll explain what a Gantt chart is and its features. Then we'll go with the demo and documentation. Finally, I'll conclude. Before I start my introduction, I'd like to share a short story about the importance of project timeline. So basically, it's not the, I'm narrating from personal experience. When I joined college on my first day, we were assigned into groups of 5 randomly, and we were told, given random topics, and we were told to work on projects as part of the orientation program. So we were new to this sort of stuff. We had no experience with projects and stuff. So we didn't know what importance planning and timeline plays in the course of a project. So we directly began the project without any planning and we didn't create any timeline, etc. So it didn't turn out as well as we'd have liked to. So that explains just how important project timeline is. So basically, a project timeline, it can also be known as a project schedule. It is a visual representation of the chronological order of the tasks, activities, and milestones that need to be completed to accomplish a project's objectives. It outlines the plan, start, and end dates for each task, allowing project managers and team members to track the progress, allocate resources, and ensure that the project stays on track to meet its deadlines. Some of the key elements are like tasks and activities, the duration, it should be mentioned in the project timeline, that how long each task will be done, the start and end dates for each task, and usually a Gantt chart is used to visualize the project timeline. Why is it essential? So basically, it's essential because it can assist in planning. It can also assist in monitoring that each task is done, etc. It can also help in risk management. So we'll see the objectives. The objectives of making a project timeline, there are many. I've selected these 3 because these are some really important ones. The planning and organization. So if you have a project timeline, it makes it really easy in organizing and sequencing the project activities in a logical order. It allows the team members to easily understand what tasks need to be done, in what order, and when they should be completed. Then we have the time management. The timeline sets clear start and end dates for each task. It helps the project members and team members to manage their time effectively. It ensures that everyone is aware of the deadline and that each task gets completed before the deadline. Then we have resource allocation. So it's if you have a well-defined project timeline, it enables better resource allocation because it can inform the project managers what resources need to be allocated to each team member in what time, basically in what start date, so that they can use it for completing their task. There are other objectives like resource efficiency, motivation and accountability. Like basically, it will motivate the team members to complete their tasks on time, communication between the team members, and we can also make sure that the stakeholders know about the timeline that every task is being completed, etc. Then we'll move on to the importance of project timeline. As before, there are several many important points for maintaining a project timeline. I've gone with some of the main important ones. It provides clarity and focus. Basically, a well-defined project timeline. It provides a clear roadmap of tasks and milestones It helps the team members understand what needs to be done and when, and keeping them focused on their objectives. Then we have risk management. So it helps in identifying the potential risks before they can even happen, because we have a clear timeline. So we know what time, what risk might happen. So we can prepare for it beforehand. And then basically, it is really important to ensure a successful delivery of the project, because as I said in my case, in my example story before, we couldn't deliver the project on time because we didn't set a clear timeline before. But now we have learned in subsequent projects, we made sure to include a project timeline beforehand. Then we'll go with the timeline. So basically, this is I've just shown as points here. I've explained all these things in my previous presentation, which was the overview of the project synopsis, in which we delve into detail in each task and how process of creation, etc. But I'll just try to give a couple of lines for each of these things. First, I have divided this project basically into 2 months, month 1 and month 2. And each month, in each week, I have assigned several tasks, 2 tasks for each week. We need to complete these 2 tasks in each week. So the first week, we have a first introduction to React.js. That is, during week 1, the team members will immerse themselves in the world of React.js. They will grasp the concept of React components. They understand how these building blocks facilitate in the creation of interactive user interfaces. They will learn to write JSX syntax, which blends HTML and JavaScript. They will enable the seamless integration of dynamic content. They'll also explore state management in React.js to realize the importance of handling application data efficiency for smooth user interactions. Then second task in first week, we'll have to set up the project environment. We'll install all the applications necessary like Node.js, React.js, etc. We'll create a new React.js application, and then we'll lay the foundation for a well-organized project by creating a file, folder to maintain all the files that we'll be creating for this project, so that we can keep it organized and well maintained. And then we'll go on to the second week. Second week, the first task which we'll do is the styling the application. So we'll use CSS to create an appealing and responsive design for the web application. We have to ensure that the design is responsive so that it can be used in any device, regardless of desktop or mobile. And then we have to create a visually engaging user interface so that everyone finds it appealing to use. It's not like repulsive to people. And then we have the second task in week 2, we have to implement user authentication. We can use the JSON web tokens to establish a secure user authentication process. This will allow users to log in securely and protect the sensitive data. And it also ensures that only authorized users have the ability to log in. And then we'll use Passport.js, a user authentication middleware for Node.js. We'll use it to streamline the authentication implication. And then we'll go on to the third week of the first month. First, we'll have the main problem of pulling the data from APIs. We'll venture into the world of APIs. We'll study Vantage API, Alpha Vantage API documentation, etc. And we'll learn its endpoints and request parameters. We'll master the API calls using libraries like Axios or Fetch API. And then we'll successfully retrieve real-time stock market data applications such as stock prices and trading volumes. Then we'll have the task of displaying it on the front end. Once we retrieve the data using the API, then we'll have to go on with displaying the data on the front end so that the users can interact with it, can see it, can use it. We'll use React.js components to elegantly present the data as the charts, graphs, etc. Or we can also use tabular format. We have to ensure that it is in a user-friendly interface. We'll have to maintain that there are scrolling and paging, etc. To ensure that large data sets can be easily used by the user. And then we'll go on to the fourth week. The first thing we'll do in fourth week is to implement the search functionality to ensure that the users can search for the particular data that they want, for the particular stock, for a particular company, whatever they're looking for, so that they can search themselves. We'll use algorithms and libraries like Fuse.js to enable fuzzy search capabilities. This enhancement will enhance user engagement by streamlining access to desired stock data. So instead of just giving them what they want, what we want them to see, we can let the user search for themselves what they want. Then the second task in fourth week will go for the testing and debugging of the application. So we'll ensure that the application is reliable and stable to use. We'll utilize Jest and enzyme testing frameworks for React.js to write test cases and prepare comprehensive testing of the application's components and functionalities. We can also ensure that the APIs are functioning properly using like Postman to ensure that the API is working properly and there are no errors or issues, etc. Then we'll go on to the month 2 of the project timeline. So in month 2, on the first week, we'll start with the data visualization. We'll have to implement data visualization. We can use the libraries such as D3.js or Chart.js to understand how to integrate these powerful tools to create stunning visual images of stock trends, historical data, etc. And then in the second task, we'll go for the error handling. We'll focus on refining the application's robustness. We'll implement error handling and gracefully manage edge cases, such as handling incorrect user input or API errors. Then in the second week, we'll go for building the backend. We'll shift the focus to the backend development. We'll use Node.js and Express.js to construct a solid foundation for the server-side functionality. We'll design and organize routes and controllers to handle various requests and how the front end and from the front end create a reliable backend architecture to support the application's data flow. And then we'll go to creating the APIs. First, we learned about the APIs, different APIs. Now we'll learn to create the APIs. We'll implement REST APIs, etc. that act as communication channel between the front end and the back end. They will establish rules for user authentication. Then we have the data retrieval from external APIs and data manipulation to streamline interaction with the application's backend from the front end by the user. Then in the third week, we'll go with integrating the news API. We'll have a section in our application for showcasing news related to stock market, etc., and finance and the fiscal world daily, so that the users can be up to date in various developments in the fiscal world. And then we'll have to ensure that there are real-time updates. Basically, the APIs, we have to ensure that the APIs are reliable and they will incorporate real-time updates properly time to time. Then on the fourth week, first task will go for optimizing the performance of the application. We'll fine-tune the application's performance. We'll apply various optimization techniques such as code splitting to reduce initial loading time, and we'll have to also improve the user experience. Lazy loading will be implemented to load components as needed, minimizing the application's initial footprint. And then we'll also explore the various caching strategies to optimize data retrieval and minimize redundant API calls. And then finally, the final task we'll have is to deploy the application. The team's hard work culminates in this deployment phase in week 4. We'll deploy the fully functional application to a web server. Now there are various web servers we can benefit from, like Heroku or AWS. We can select whatever we want. We can go with AWS, it's a user-friendly server. And then we'll also have to handle any necessary configurations and address problems related challenges to make the application accessible to users worldwide. Then next, I'll go with the Gantt chart. So as part of my task for this third week, I had to create a Gantt chart to display the project timeline for this project, that is the real-time stock market data application. First, let me explain what a Gantt chart is. Gantt chart is a popular project management tool. It is used to visually represent the schedule of tasks and activities in a project. So basically, it provides a horizontal bar chart. It displays the timeline of activities along the y-axis and the corresponding dates and time in the x-axis. So in the Gantt chart, first let's see the features of the Gantt chart. Now, basically, the task will be represented in the horizontal bar, and the y-axis position, it will give all the task names. The length and length of the bar represents the duration of each task. So x-axis will show the time and duration of each task. Uh, uh, it helps in visual planning, task dependencies, resource allocation, and progression. That is basically visual planning. It provides a clear and easy to understand visual representation of the project schedule. So it allows the project managers and team members to grasp the project's timeline at a single glance instead of having to look through several documents. Task dependencies basically means it will allow the teams to understand which tasks are dependent on which other tasks. So it will identify the critical path of the project. That is, team members will know which tasks will need to be completed beforehand so that they can complete which tasks now. Resource allocation, it will help with resource allocation because the project managers know when to assign which resource to which team member. It also helps in project progress tracking so that it will the Gantt chart will be updated to reflect the actual start and end dates of the task, helping in monitoring and tracking the progress. That is basically it means that human beings, we are human beings. It doesn't mean that we'll always complete, everyone will always complete each task at the correct deadline. Sometimes it may go forward or backward depending on the task. So it will also be reflected on the Gantt chart. So this is basically the Gantt chart I've created. I'll since it is not properly visible, I'll show it in the actual website that I created. I've included screenshots here. Now let me go demonstrate the Gantt chart in the actual website that I used to create. So this is the website which I use. Sir, is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
So this is the website which I use. It's called Instagant. It's basically an online tool which I use to create the a Gantt chart. So first, here we have the y-axis, the horizontal y-axis, the vertical part. Here I've created two sections, the month 1 and month 2. And in month 1, I've added all the tasks which need to be completed in month 1. And similarly, I've already added all the tasks which need to be completed in month 2. Then we have a section here to mention the assignee that will the project manager can assign the task to particular team member. So basically, as you can see here, I've assigned all the tasks to myself. It is visible here which team member the task is assigned to. And then here we have the estimated hours, that is the duration, estimated duration for the task to be completed. I have assigned all the number of hours duration here. Then we have the start date and the end date. So for example, for the introduction to React.js, the start date is 1st of August and the due date is the 4th of August. So basically, and then we can also update the progress in percentage. The how much progress is done, it will be reflected here in percentage. So similarly for month 2, now let's look at the actual Gantt chart. So the x-axis here, it represents the date and the time and duration. So first we have the first month, August. We have the week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. Each bar will represent how much time the duration. Each task is mentioned clearly. We can also add milestones if we want. It is an extra thing which each team member can update as he wants. Like for example, here we can convert to milestone task. For example, if we completed the front end, then we can add that as a milestone that we have completely finished with the front end. Then for the back end, we can add it as a milestone, etc. So basically, this is the complete Gantt chart which I have created. I'll go back to my PowerPoint. Then I'll just show the documentation. So it is basically good practice to maintain a document of any project that you undertake. So for this project timeline, I have maintained a document clearly. So first, I have mentioned everything from a project timeline, the key elements of the project timeline, the objectives, the importance of the project timeline. So basically everything I've said and extra, which I can't add in the presentation, but that everything which needs. So basically, if someone who wants to work on this project, if he just looks at this presentation, then he'll know everything about the flow of the project, etc. Then explain the timeline fully for each task. Basically, everything that you need to do, like the introduction. I've explained everything fully. Then I started about the Gantt chart, and I've explained the Gantt chart, what a Gantt chart is, and the benefits and features of the Gantt chart. Then I've also included snapshots uh, for better understanding. So to conclude, so basically we have explored the project timeline for a real-time stock market data web application. As we come to the end, let us look at some of the key takeaways that you can take from this presentation. So basically, a project timeline is important because it helps in effective planning. A well-structured project timeline is the foundation of successful project execution. It provides clarity, organization, and a step-by-step approach to achieve the project goals. And then it maintains task coordination, resource optimization, and also risk mitigation. That we can also always ensure that we take proper precautions for each risk, for every risk. And then it also helps in progress monitoring, enhanced communication, accountability, and motivation. So all these benefits can be seen from maintaining a project timeline for your project. So basically, I can say from first-hand experience that project timeline is really important when you're working in a project. So as we move forward with our actual project, that is the real-time stock market data web application, we have to remember the importance of staying committed to our project timeline. We have to leverage our collective skills and dedication to transform our vision into a fully functional and impactful application. These are the references which I have used. A Gantt chart. First, I didn't know what a Gantt chart was, so I used the Wikipedia page to learn about the Gantt chart, and then to learn about the project timeline. Then I used this online application to create the Gantt chart. Then I also to learn about the actual timeline for a web project, for a web development project. I use this link. So anyone has any questions, you can ask me. Thank you for your patience, for listening to this.
I hope you're done with your presentation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I do not really have any suggestions because I did find the presentation to be thoroughly detailed and it was very crisp. I also liked how you related your personal experience at the start with the introduction of the presentation. So that was really nice as well. No suggestions. It was really good. Your a review will be sent to you on your mail. Yeah. That is it. Thank you.
Can I leave?
Yeah, you can be.
Okay.
Do we have any more interns who want to give their presentations right now? Then I think we're done here for today. I'll be ending the session. Thank you everybody for joining in.